Hi everyone, here is Alireza from ARCMOTION with a new tutorial series, and we are going to model a modern villa designed by NG Architects. NG Architects is a young and ambitious architectural design company located in Lithuania, which you can find a link to their webpage in the description. Before we jump into the Cinema 4D, I will be pleased when you press the thumb up button and subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed yet. And with this you can support us to make better content in the future and also to reach more people that may like this kind of tutorials. So without further ado, let's jump into the Cinema 4D and start modeling. First, we need to set the plan of the building as the background in top view. For this, we go to the mode, and then we go to the view setting, and in back, we go to the top view. We want to position our image, and here we can select the image that we want to use as a background. So I have this one, and I can open it, and here I have the image of the plan in my top view as underlay. In the transparency, you can change the transparency of the image, and in offset X and Y you can change the position of the image, and with rotation you can rotate the image, and of course we don't want that, we zero it out. And for the size of the image, you can use this size X and Y, which are relative to each other. So when you change one, the other one will also change. Now to adjust the scale of the image to the real size, I use the scale bar as my reference. Now I make a cube and change the size of it to 1 meter on each side. And since we are working in centimeter in Cinema 4D, I'm going to change the value to 100 centimeter on each side. And then I'm going to move the cube to the near of my reference bar. And then I go to mode, and in view setting, I can now change the scale of my image and the position of it so that it matches with the size of the cube. And then we can say that we have the right size and scaling for our plan. Now that the scale bar matches with the size of the cube, it means that this image is now correctly scaled, and we can just simply delete the cube because we don't need it anymore. And now what we have to do is to move the image to the right position. And I usually do that so that it matches with my X and Z axis. I go to the view setting, and now I can change the position of the image so that it matches with my X and Z axis. So you see here we have the Z axis here and the X axis here, and this should match with the edge of our building. So now I create a cube and I move it to a wall in ground floor to set the size of the cube, and I change the size, the thickness of the cube that will present my wall to 48, and adjust it so it matches with my wall in the ground floor. And for the height, I give the value 330. This is the distance from floor in ground floor and the floor in first floor. So now I can make my cube editable, and I can go to either the front or the right view to adjust the level of my cube, actually my wall. So I move it upward so that the bottom of the cube, which is the bottom of my wall, is zeroed out in the Y direction. So I notice the wall is 338, so I divide it in 2 and I can move it with my 0 to y axis. So now in the top view, I go to select the rectangle selection and I go to polygon mode, and with the visible only icon off, I go to select the polygon of my cube. So, and with that, let's check it in perspective. In this case, this is the side polygon, and now I can just drag it up to where my windows is, and I can now, by holding Control key, make a copy of this polygon, and by holding the Shift key simultaneously, I can have a precise value, a numeric value for my window. So with this method, I'm going to make my external wall in the ground floor and the first floor. So here at the corner of our external wall, and everywhere we want to maintain the thickness of the wall, we have to use the extrude tool. So I use with shortcut D and give it the value of 48, and also be sure that the create cap is off because we don't want to make an extra cap here. So with this, we can be sure that the thickness of the wall maintains as the value that we have set for it, as it was 48 centimeters here, and we will not have any mistakes or any different value for that. So just in this case, I use the extrude tools, but for the other cases, for example here, when I want to continue the external wall where my windows are, I just use the Control Shift and try to copy the polygon so on, so that we at last have our external wall created. So now that we are almost done with the external walls in the ground floor, we need to connect these two walls together. So for that, I will need to add 2 loop cuts to 2 sides of this wall for the thickness of the wall, and then use the bridge tool to connect it. So I go to the top view, and with shortcut UL, I'm adding 1 cut here and 1 loop cut here. And for the walls to connect correctly, we need to align the points. So I take the Z coordination of this point, I copy it, and I will select the points from this wall with UL, and I will paste the Z point here. So that all these points have the same Z coordination. Okay, and we'll do the same for the bottom part. We select this point of the wall and we copy the coordination in Z direction and select these points and paste the coordination here. So with that, I'm sure that these 2 sides, these 2 polygons have the same dimension. So now I can easily bridge them and be sure that the thickness remain constant as we have 48 centimeters. So, and now we can just select UL when we are in edge mode and select this edge, and with MN we can dissolve it. This also here we see the dissolve and the shortcut is MN. So now we see that we are done with the external walls in the ground floor, and we now need to extract the windows and opening from the wall. And so let's change the name of the object. I name it ext walls, so as for external walls. And later we will also make the internal walls and add to this project. But for now we keep the working just for on the external walls in this part, and the next part we will surely make the interior part too. We need two horizontal loop cuts for our windows. One is for the parapet height and for the other for the windows height. So for the parapet height I give it 110 value from the bottom of my form, and for the windows height I give also 110. So we have all we need to extract our windows. So let's firstly see where my windows are positioned. So I go to the top view and select this polygon, the top polygon, and this polygon. Okay, now I go to perspective again, and okay, let's see now. This is one and this is the other windows that we need to extract. So for that I'm going to first split these two polygons that will later make our windows from them, and I'm going to hide it. And here, okay, we need backside of the wall also the same loop cuts that we have done in the front side. So let's make the two loop cuts again here. So 110 for the bottom of the window, and one time 110 for the head of the window. Okay, now I can come to the polygon mode and select also the back side of the windows and use the bridge tool with shortcut B and bridge these two polygons. So we have the openings for our windows, and we can now create the windows that we have extracted before. And for that we need to give a thickness to our polygons, and for that I'm going to use the extrude tool with the create caption on because we want the object to be close polygons, and then we give a value of 12. I think it's a good value. And so when we solo it out, you see that we have a closed polygon object, and this will be our windows. So we need to also select these two objects and move them backwards so that it sits in our openings. And now what we need to do is to define where the opening part and where the fixed part of our windows are. So for that I'm going to use the key L as for loop cut and add a cut here. I give a value of 100. This 100 will be our opening part of the window, and I'll do the same for the other window as well. I give a loop cut here, and again I give it a value of 100. So now that it is defined, I'm going to use the insert tool so as to make an inner extrusion, and I inner extrude it and give it a value of 5. Great, this will be our frame. Now I come to the edge mode and select these edges with UL, so that will be a loop cut, and use a bevel tool, and with the subdivision 0 I give it an offset of 2.5. So now the frame of the windows are defined. Now I go to the polygon mode, and I need to push these polygons a bit inward. So for that I use the extrusion tool, but with the cap off, and so I can by giving it a negative value I can drag them a bit inward. I have something like this. Now I need to select these polygons from the front, sorry, this and these polygons from the front and from the back, and I will need to give it another frame for the opening frame, for opening part of my window. So this is the same process, but giving the value with insert tool. I give it this time 3.5. Give it 3.5. Okay. And now I'm with the extrude tool and with the cap off, give it a negative value. So this should look like how it is for our windows. They should look like this, yes? Now what I need to have these edges, these polygons bridged. So we have the thickness of our frame and we have to separate our windows. So I select the parts which my windows should be, the glass part, which the glass part should be, and then I use the split tool to split them. So I select my glass parts, and here I can split them. I rename it to the glass part. Okay, for now I'm going to hide it, and here from my frame I'm going to select all the parts which should be glass and bridge them. So I have something like this. So now this object is actually our frame, and the second one which is hidden is our glass. Rename it this one to frame, and I can unhide this, and so we have the windows created in this side of our building. So for the other windows, this is always the same process, but it is can be different from the form and how the windows look like, but the function and the tools that I use to create them is always the same. So we'll do that to create the other windows and openings too. So first here, let's rename them, because we know that the north side, this should be our east window. So let's change this. I put this frame and the glass part under a null and create and rename it to the east windows. Okay, and I'll do the same for the north, east, and south. And I'll come back to you after that. So now we have created all the openings in the ground floor, and they are categorized depending their position to the north. So like north windows, west, east, and south windows. And now we are going to extend these walls to create the second floor. So for that, I'm going to choose my object for the walls, and I go to the right view and select the rectangle selection with the visibility off, and select the top part of my polygons. And be sure that the visibility is off, because we also want to select the not visible polygons in the background. So now see that all the polygons on the top surface are selected, and we can extrude them with the create cap off, because we don't need any extra cap in at this position. And we give it a value of 280, and with that we have created the walls on the first floor as well, and we need to position the windows here. So for that, I'm going to use the shortcut KL for loop cut and make a cut here for the height of the windows, and I give it a value of 220. So we have something like this. This is the height of the window. This is the same as the height of the windows on the first floor, on the ground floor. And if I bring back the picture, you will see that on this side, the window on the first floor and the windows on the ground floor are identical. So I just need to copy the ground floor window to the top on the top for the top window. When just I need to make an opening, so I need to add a lookup inside as well with a value of 220. And now I can select both sides, and with shortcut B for bridge, I am going to bridge this and make it an opening. So now what I need to do is just to copy the window on the ground floor and bring it up to the right position. And let me check the height, if to be sure. Okay, this is 220, it is correct. Now I go to my ground floor window and select the window, and I'm activating the snap point and also the axis mode. And now I can just drag the axis of this object to where I want. So I bring it here or move it here at the corner of the window, exactly at the corner of the connection between window and the wall. And by holding the control key, I make a copy of it and I drag it up to the corner of the wall at the top floor. So we have something like this, and we name it also as a window south first floor. Okay, now we need to define where the position of the windows in the first floor are. So for that I go to the top view and I need to switch the plan on my background as well. So I go to view setting, and here with dragging the Y offset I can change the position of my background plane, and also I switch the plan with my first floor plan. So to position it exactly where it should be, I will increase the transparency of the background so I can see better through the background. And I'm going to select this object, the wall object. I go back to the view setting, and here I can just tweak the position of the background image so that it matches with our plane. So like this. Okay, I think it's good enough, and we see here exactly where the position of our windows in the first floor are. And now I'll go to the line mode, and with KL I will make a loop cut here and add this to our edges. I give it a value of 90. I'll do the same for the other one here exactly, and one here. So I give the value of 165, sorry, and so on. I'll continue to create the other windows as well. Okay, this is the same as the first floor, as the ground floor. And here we see that we have to change a bit also the plan in our first floor, because in first floor we don't have wall at this side. We have the terrace and we have to create a new wall. So I'm going to select these walls and I'm going just to delete them. We don't need them anymore here. So with this we need to adjust the walls in the first floor so they are positioned correctly. So I select the back side of it as well, this one too, and now I can just simply delete them. Okay, but here you see that we have some openings created, so we have to close them. I use the polygon pen to make new edges on my object and begin to closing this, and with the right click and create polygon holes, I'm going to close the rest, but it is also to mention that we have some cuts that we need so that our model is clean and correct. So with knife tool, with shortcut KK, I'm going to make those cuts as where they needed, so that all our edges are simply connected to each other and not separated. So, and the last one is here. Okay, so now you see that all the edges are connected. Okay, as I missed this one as well. Also one at the other side. I should add it to this one. Okay. Simply sometimes that the knife tool doesn't work, you can also use the polygon pen. So I go and select the polygon pen, and instead I use that. This will work always. So I'll make also one edge here. Is this the last one, I think? Now this is, we have everything done. No, now just we need to close the wall at the first floor, because we have deleted some and we need to add some. So I select this polygon and I'll go to the top view, and with extrude tool and with the cap, create cap off, I'm going to extrude it and move it close to the other wall in the front side. So let me now move it here. I can also use this method to create where my openings for this wall as well. So we don't need to use the cut tool for that. So I'm going and placing the polygon close to the wall in front, and as we have done the same trick in the ground floor to collect these two walls, I'm going to add a loop cut to the other wall, and then position the points in the right position and just bridge them. We have done this exactly in the ground floor as well. So I copy the position of this Z coordination of these points, and I'll paste it for this point as well. And this is now the X point of all these points are matched with the wall, with the other wall. And for the other one, I will make a loop cut here, and I know the thickness of the wall is 48. And now I can just select these two polygons and use the bridge tool or shortcut B and bridge them. Great. Now I can come to the line mode, and with UL I can select this extra edge created because we don't need it anymore, and with shortcut MN, as for dissolve, I'm dissolving it. So now to create the windows in the top floor, I'm using the loop cut tool to create a cut here, because some of our windows have carpet height of under 10 in this floor, and some of them are from the floor to the ceiling. So now let's model and create this door window here. I'm going to select this surface, I split it, and then I hide it for now. This is going to be our windows later. Now we need to create the opening key. So I go to my main object and I select also the back side of the opening, and now I just use the bridge tool to bridge it, and so to make the opening. So now we have also an opening here. I select this face and I'm going to split it for now and hide it. I go to the main object, I select the back side of it, and with bridge tool I connect these two and bridge. Great. We have one opening left here on this side. So let me select it again. Select this polygon. We split it. Where is it? Yeah. And we hide it. And we go to the main object. Select the back side. And now we bridge it. So now we have all the opening on this side created. So for an example of the windows and doors, I'm going to do the middle one and hide this object. That will be our window and door. And there are some extra lines in this polygon that we don't need. So I'm going to delete them by going in an edge mode and selecting them and dissolving them. So I select them and with MM I dissolve them. Now we have here one part is a door opening and one part is a fixed glass. So I will see how much we have. I will make a cut here, loop cut for the door, and I go to give it a value of 100. Okay, so this is not the wrong side, so I'm just going to move it a bit to have it in the right place, and I'm going to dissolve this extra edge that we don't need. Okay, now you see that on both sides we have the fixed windows, and in the middle we have this opening door to create. So now I extrude this polygon to have a thickness. I'm going to create a cap also because we want this object to be a closed object. I'm extruded it inward, and by doing that I'm giving the value of 15, and by doing that we have our normals also inverted. So as I select the object, you see that we see this blue surface color. This means that the normals are inward. I go here and reverse them. So now you see that this color has changed and we have the right normals on our object. So next, what we should do next is that to select this front and back side surface and insert it. So actually do it inner extrude. But as you see, I forgot to deselect the edge surfaces, so it extruded all the surfaces. Okay, we don't need them. So I go back, and now I select it just forward and with backward face. Yes, and now I can do this again with insert function or shortcut E, and I give it the value of 1.5 centimeter, and I select them again, and with extrude tool I create all cap off, I move it inward. So this 1.5 centimeter is actually the round round profile that is also in our model. Now I select the windows from the object from front and back, and I'm going to use the insert tool again to create the real frame of the windows. So I'm deactivating the preserve groups because I don't want the surfaces to be extruded inward as a whole, but I want them separately. So I give it a value of 5. This would be the thickness of our profile, Windows profile and Windows frame. And now I can just extrude it inward with the cap off. Great. And now I will do the same process for the door because the door has another frame as well. So I select both sides and go to the insert function, and this time move it inward to 3.5 centimeters. And again with the extrude tool, I'm going to extrude it inward like this. Great. Now I have to select my glass part of this object. So I select all parts that should be glass, and I'm splitting them and hide them. Okay, now this is the frame. What we have to do, we need just frames here. We have separated the glass part. We can just select them, and with bridge tool we can bridge them. So this is our frame, and now I can rename it to frame, and the other one to the glass part. I can unhide it, and put him in a null, and name it and rename it. So I use the name window in west side and in first floor, so I know exactly where it is positioned and where it is. So great. I will do the same method to create other windows as well. So I move this window, this glass part a bit also inward, so that it sits in the right place. And so I'm going to create the other windows as well. So I'm coming back to you when all these parts are done. So now that we have finished modeling the openings and windows and all sides of our project, it is time to create the floorings and ceilings, and also to create our roof. So for that I go to my main object, and I go to the edge mode, and we'll begin to model the flooring in the ground floor. So I solo this out, so we just see our main model without the windows. And I go to the front view, and with rectangle selection I'm going to select the bottom edges of my object. But the thing is that we just need the outer edges and not the inner and what between. So I go to my selection object and deselect the edges that I don't need. So now I have just the outer edge selected, and we need to extract this edge from my object. So I right click and come here with edge, command edge to a spline. I make a spline from these edges, and I'm going to solo this one out. So you see that this is my spline created from those edges, and I have to make this spline also connected, and I can also move this to the right position. Say we have something like this, and I copy the position of Z from this point and paste it here exactly. Now I can just drag this over and make it a closed spline by clicking this. So now I have a closed spline. Okay, now I go to my perspective and bring it out of the solo. And now here with the extrude tool, I'm going to extrude it. And for the extrusion, I will give it the value of 20 centimeters. So we have our flooring in the ground floor. So now that we have created the ground floor, the thing is that the material in the inside part of the floor and the outside part are different materials. So I go to my extrude object and right click and make a current state object, make a new polygonal object out of this extrude, and I'm going to hide out the extrusion, and by our polygonal object I get rid of the selection tags. And now so I have the ground floor as a polygonal object. So now I can edit points, lines, and polygons. And now we have to clean up our ground floor polygonal object, because as you see here we have some edges that we don't need them. So I just simply use the ring selection with shortcut UB to select these unwanted edges, and I'm dissolving it. So by select them all, now I can deselect the edges that I want to keep. So especially at the corners and where I want to add some cuts to this object to then separate the materials. So for example this one, and the rest I'm going just to dissolve. So I'm going to keep this one as well. Let's see, this one and this one as well. And now I dissolve the rest, and you see we have cleaner object, but it is not done yet. We have to also add some cuts to this to have some more polygons that we want to then later add materials to it and separate them, the outside from the inside. So I go to my object, and I'm selecting these points, and I'm moving it to where I want them to be, where I want to make this material separation. I have to define where my cuts should be. And you see here I need this part as a several polygonal object, so I make with knife tool, I make a cut here, and I have to connect these edges together so we have a closed edge, and so that our model is correct and we can work furthermore. So I'm just going to copy this position of this point and I paste it for the rest of the point so that they have the same x value, but because they should have also the same x value. I'm doing this also for this side, and now I copy the z position of this point and paste it for the rest of my loop points. So firstly I'm zeroing their difference on z axis, and I paste this coordinate that I copied here. Yes. So when I now turn on my object, you see that we have an outer polygons for outer materials and the inside polygons for the inside materials. I need to add one loop cut here as well. I can use just my snap point to create so. And let's see if I go to the top view, or okay. Now you see that with this trick we have just separated the outer and the inner polygons. So now I'm going to use the same method to create the first floor. So I select my object and select the edges that I want to convert to the spline later. And then I'm going to extrude tool and extrude it. So now that I have selected all the edges, I can just simply convert it to the spline, and with right click I come here and edge to spline. I use this function and I drag it out to the top, and I add an extrude to it. And for it to work correctly, we have to close this spline. So we have something like this. Now we will add the value of minus 30 for the thickness of our floor in the first floor, and so we have this ceiling and flooring in first floor created. But at the same as in ground floor, we have two material separation for inside and outside of this flooring, and we have to add some cuts and get rid of some edges as we have done before in the ground floor. So I make an polygonal object from this extrude, and I hidden this extrude object. We don't need it anymore. And I'm deleting the selection tags from it. And now I come to the surface and I solo it out. So you see that we have some unwanted edges here as well that we have to correct them. So with UV, but in edge mode with UV, I'm going to make a ring selection and deselect the edges that I want to keep as before. And I dissolve the rest. These two. Okay. Now it is better, but now we need some more connected edges. We have to use the knife tool or polygon pen to connect these edges that are not connected. So with knife tool, I connect these two and the bottom part as well. See? Now we have several separate polygons from it that one can serve as an inside material and one for the outside material in our terrace. So to make it a correct model, a correct object, we have to make another cut here and here as well. Because every polygon must consist only out of 4 edges. And if it's, for example, if it has 5-6 edges, then it's not a correct polygon. And it is better to have everything correctly, and so that you can later work easily on your project. So I bring it out of the solo, and you see that it is done with the first floor. And what we need to do now is to add the roof part. To make the roof part, I'm going to select these polygons. I select my object and select all of these from this side of the wall. Take these and okay. Now that all are selected, I use the extrude tool and with the create cap off, because we don't need any cap here created, and I give it a value of 110. So I extrude it to the upside, and now I select this side polygons and use extrude tool again with no caps, and I extrude it this side, and I go to the top view and move the polygon to where they should be, here. Great. Okay, now you see that our roof part is also simply created with 2 extrusion. It was not a big deal. And what we can do now is to create our balcony, to add our balcony on this side as well, here. So now to create the balcony, I select my main object and I select this polygon and I split it. Okay, and now I can adjust the edges so that it matches with the thickness of my balcony. I move it a bit upward, and you have 25 centimeters to the upside. And I select also this edge and move it outward a bit, so 15 centimeters, 10 or 15. Great. Now I'll go to my polygonal object, and in polygon mode I extrude it outward with create cap on because I want it to be a closed object. So let's see how much we should extrude it. Let's try a value of 160. Let us see. Okay, or 170. let's make it 180. I think 180 is a good value for that. Okay, now we will work on this balcony later on, but now let's try to make the garage door as well, and we'll come back to this side again later. So now for the garage door, I select my object and I go to polygon mode and select where my garage door should be. So this will be our garage door. I will split it so that I later can work on it as my garage door. I hide it out for now. I go to my main object, and as the front side, I'm going to also select the back side of it, and now with the bridge tool, I'm going to bridge it. Great. And now I can just simply unhide my object and come out of the solo mode. And this is an extra edge here, I can delete it. I have to dissolve it. Now I select my object and extrude it. And I'll be sure that the create cap is on, so that we have a polygonal or closed polygonal object. So with axis center, I'm going to centerize my axis of the object, and so I have the axis point in the middle of my object. If you don't have this in your palette, you can just from here search axis center. Okay. And you get this icon and you can drag and paste it in your palette wherever you want and to use it. Okay, and this is how it works. It centerizes the axis of any object. And now I can just move it backward, and I need the loop cuts to add some cuts here, some horizontal cuts. I need more. Okay, great. And I'm selecting all of them now. I select all of these created loop cuts, the front side of course, and with bevel tool I'm going to bevel it a bit. Okay, with subdivision 0 we don't need any subdivisions. I think 1.5 could be a good value for that. And now I go to polygon mode and just extrude this part a bit outward with the create cap off. We don't need to creating any new cap here. So something like this. Great, so I bring it out of the solo. Now that the garage door is also modeled, we will continue working on the main body of the building, because we have two materials assigned to this, and we have to make it clear where these materials are. So let's jump back to the picture, and we see here clearly that we have two different materials. One is this white concrete, and this other one is this dark gray brick acid. And I'm going to extrude the white concrete part a bit to the outside so that we have a good transition and difference between these two materials. So now we jump back to Cinema 4D, and I'm going to select all parts which are going to be our white concrete part. So now I use an extrude tool to extrude it outward, but pay attention that the create cap is off. We don't need any caps here. So let's see what is the value. Let's try 5. Okay, as you see here we have done it 2 times, so I go back again and I give it a value of 5, or maybe try a 7. Exactly, so this looks better. So now by having these polygons selected, I'm going to assign a new selection tag to it by clicking the V on the keyboard, and here in select I use store selection. And so we have this selection stored here in this tag. I rename it to let's say white facet, and I'm going to do the same for the other materials as well, so that each material has its own selection tag assigned to it. So let's begin with this side wall. I'm selecting these polygons and the polygons under my ceiling. Let's first deselect these parts here and the polygons under the ceiling. Okay, now that all the polygons for the ceiling for our second material are selected, we go with shortcut V. I go to select and create a new selection tag for this part, and I name it white ceiling. Okay. Now we have to do the same for our dark gray bricks as well. So that we can assign a separate material to it as well. I select all the parts that are going to be dark gray brick. And now that all polygons for the brick part are selected, I go here and make a new selection tag, and I rename it to brick material. So this will be where our brick material will be assigned later. So now the things that are still remaining are to complete our balcony and adding these railings in balcony and also in terrace part. So let's begin with the balcony first. I'm going to select my balcony and I'm using the top polygon and also the bottom one, and with insert function I'm going to drag it a bit inward. Something like this. Okay, let's give it a value of 5. Okay, and now I'm going to add some two loop cuts to it. One here, so this is one and this is the second one. So I solid it out, and now I need to add some diagonal cuts to this surface at the bottom so that they serve as our structural beams for this balcony. So I add these diagonals with knife tool. Exactly, and also from this side. Okay, now I'm going to select them as well. So I select all of these and use the bevel tool to bevel them. So I have something like this. Let's see what value we can add to it. Value of maybe 4. Yes, I think 4 is a good value. And I go to the polygon mode. Let's write 3 first. Okay, I think 3 is a better value. Now I go to the polygonal mode and I'm extruded it inward with the create cap off because we don't need any cap here. So we just simply drag it to the inside. And great. So now let's add some railings to it. For the railings I am selecting these edges at the top and also here, and I'm going to make a spline out of it. So right click, I come here with the function h_spline. I make a spline out of it, I drag it out, and I'm giving a profile for the glass part, so a rectangular profile. I give here for the width, I give it 1 centimeter, and for the height I give it 100. Now I create a sweep object and add these two to the sweep. And as with that, we have our glass part, but it is not the right position. For that, I'm just selecting the spline, and I go to the object mode. And as you see here, the axis of the object for the spline is a bit off. It is not in the right place. So to correct that, I go to axis center, and I'm going to press execute and move the axis to the right position. Now I can just simply drag the axis up, and I have also my snap point also selected, so activated. So now I can just move it to the right position. Now I can just make a polygonal object out of this sweep object. So now I can just turn off the sweep and move it to the down. We don't need it anymore. And from polygonal object, I select the selection tags and delete them as well. And now we have the glass part as a polygonal object. So now I need to add the hand railings at the top of this glass part. So for that, I'm going to just select the top polygon here as well. Great. Now I'm going to use the extrude tool to extrude it upward with surely with the create cap off. We don't need any cap created there. I think a value of 2.5 should be good enough. And I'm going to with the loop selection, I'm going to select the side polygons and extrude it outward to have something like this. So this is our hand railing, and under that we have this glass part. Great. And easy as that, we have also our railing in that created. We do the same method for creating the railings on the terrace. But before that, let's change first the object name. I'm selecting the balcony, the object that we created, and I rename it to railing balcony or railing 1. Okay, great. So now we try to do the same for the railing on the terrace as well. So now that the railing is also finished, we are finished with the modeling on this part, and in the next part we are going to work on the materials and prepare the scene to bring it over to motion and adding the lights, materials and the scene. And I hope that you also enjoy that as well. This will come soon after this one, and I hope that you will watch that as well. So if you like the tutorial, I will be pleased if you push the thumb up for the tutorial and to help us reach more people in the future and make better content. And if you have not subscribed yet to our channel, I will also be glad to you to subscribe to our channel. so that you get informed about the future tutorials that we make and support us as well. Okay, wish you all a good day and enjoy modeling with Cinema 4D.